Now, this is an addition, afterthought. Libra is where our moral convictions, our personal values, and what we realize through our domestic interests as what makes us civilized, what gives us security overall as a member of society. This is germinated in Cancer, but it's expressed in the public court through Libra. In Cancer, it is moral conviction. In Libra, it is ethical awareness that finds compatibility with others in common interests. Ladies, I say this. Ladies, I say this. The political front has to include this time the background of Cancer. It has to include this time the demands of Cancer, the needs of Cancer, representation that honors our needs in Cancer. It's clarified by where we are at in these transits, especially with retrograde Pluto, Aquarius, because this is where the Democratic left, and I'm not even a Democrat, I'm not a liberal, okay? But as you can see, I have the ability to see with two eyes. I could still reason. You understand? I don't have to choose sides. I don't have to oppose someone just for the hell of it. Listen to me here. As those who have democratic or liberal interests huddle up, immigrants, women, minorities of all kinds, the huddle cannot this time be in the context, interests, or aim of Capricorn. This has already been lived through. You've already embodied the wisdom to create at will a Capricorn outcome, even in your own independent enterprise. This is accessible already to you as a cosmic power in the collective of women. You are ascending now, you are transforming now in what your political front holds as what needs to be represented. After all, it's about demanding fair or accurate representation. So representation has to include the Cancer themes, all the things that we seem to conveniently forget all of these decades. Cancer themes, for example, what are our children learning in these public schools? How are they being influenced? Security. Morals. You see? What type of policies do we need to see? Changes do we need to see by our elected officials or representatives that either reinforces, expands, or enriches our experience through cancer, which is the home front, our capacity to marry each other, our capacity to raise families, our capacity to secure children, our capacity to leave a legacy when we die. What are the different components that allows us to express that? Leo, Jupiter. The strategy has to change. What changes have to be made so that there's confidence between man and woman to marry, to come together, and to create families? What about our elders and their health care, our veterans? Everything cannot be a selfish fight for women's rights, entitlements, and power in the corporate world. It can't be a selfish machine that excludes all else except for women in high heels, in business suits, on the top of skyscrapers. Cancer now is the focus and interest and demand. Otherwise, you will find that you will not have the spiritual conviction to fight with. This is a spiritual battle. Can we afford, are groceries affordable? Is gas affordable? Are the neighborhoods safe? What are the reasons that children fall into early childhood pregnancy? What are the reasons that children are so violent in certain neighborhoods? What are the reasons that we have so much homelessness? What are the reasons that we have so much mental illness? What are the reasons that we see so much pornography? Instead of putting aspirin to it, instead of dismissing the symptoms and turning our head away from the problem that caused the symptoms, it's time to address the problems, not the symptoms. And the problems are coming from cancer, broken homes, broken marriages, males in the society who do not feel confident to marry. Because the females are telling them they have to be filthy rich. They have to be 6 feet tall and have a six-pack. They're disqualified. The discouragement between male and female to take interest in each other and feel like they're equipped to honor each other with what the mutual needs are, the mutual expectations and demands. There are so many other things. Our elders who need medication, the runaround that we get when it comes to, communicating fairness from insurance agencies and such. But we can't continue to fight what doesn't really exist. We can't continue to fight things that are figments of imagination or exaggerated in the imagination. And females, y'all do that too often. You do this too much. The delusions take over your mind and you're fighting for things that are not real, things that have nothing to do with our needs. Look at the Obama era. How did you get sidetracked in fighting for the gay community, fighting for the trans community? How did you get sidetracked in rather a boy should switch up and have a vagina, or rather a girl should switch up and have a penis? How did you get sidetracked in fighting for that? How did you get sidetracked in putting so much attention and emphasis in the damn ozone, planetary warming, and all this other stuff? Yes, these could be realities. But if we have one bullet and three targets, you have got to use your wisdom to figure out what that bullet has to be used to in those three targets. Which one is the main target that we need to hit? And females, ladies, women, y'all miss it every time. You start going into shit that ain't got nothing to do with a damn thing. Women have tremendous power, but you don't seem to use your wisdom to direct the power to where it is most productive in outcome. And that's a problem. Could part of that be that you estrange yourself from males? You have gone so far away from men, you just comfort each other in this delusional cloud where there's everybody's out of touch with reality? How during the Obama era and Biden era were all of these ignorant things fought for? But the most important things overlooked and missed. All right. Hold that thought. Remember that thought. And I want you to feel proactive with that thought. Let's consider it a call to action. Let's figure out where women's power needs to be directed at, how women's power needs to be utilized, what is the proper usage and application for women's concentrated and collective power. This needs to be discussed. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be gone over. You need to be having these conversations. And this time, please, don't leave out the feedback of males. Because when you leave males out of the conversation, it turns into a pink tea party with a bunch of delusional shit. I know somebody feels offended with what I'm saying, okay? But I'm like an 80-year-old man. I've been through too much to pretend and sugarcoat. I'm going to say it like it is. I'm going to say it just like it is. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't have that thought in my head. I'm going to tell you what thought I had in my head. Understand that. Pluto is retrograde. It's trying to Libra. The Democratic left liberal infrastructure, it's shot. Women, your power is at question. And you have to reconfigure how it's going to be strategized. Let's walk through some things. Now, before I proceed into this, I'm going to go into a couple of details about women's suffrage because it's appropriate for the topic. And in some of the details that I did not mention in the section where I go over some of those things, it's important to note that the national victory of women's rights to vote, which finally had its national capacity on the 19th Amendment, it did not necessarily apply to Black American women equally. They still faced much discrimination. They still were not given the due credit for their contributions into that struggle, into that fight. They were misrepresented in history descriptions and narratives. It's no surprise to that because that is America. You know, there's much creativity that America has a legacy, a history of taking from, especially Black Americans, Black American people, and then the credit goes to someone white. Okay, that's just the way this nation has always been. But I say that to say, even in current times, the Black American woman is going to wake up to, and she has been waking up to, the fact that she's been playing the role of the useful idiot. Many people, butter her up, rile her up, put a quarter in her back, use triggering words of sensitive race words to bait her into fights that do not belong to her, or fights that are not hers. As soon as people of other cultures, nationalities, demographics get into a bind from democratic or liberal contexts and meanings in society, all of a sudden people want to use the whistle, the bat symbol. And that whistle and bat symbol is to use some type of language to race bait or race rage Black Americans into the fight, to do the fighting for them. And after they've done the fighting for them, they're sitting there looking stupid because they either don't get the credit for it, or somebody's talking shit about them afterwards. And so I've been hearing a lot of vocalized expressions, outward expression from Black American females and Black American males too, the Black community overall, who's feeling quite disillusioned at this trend where so many minorities of the left, they would like to use Black Americans' power, Black Americans' influence, creativity, boldness, courage, intelligence, fearlessness, things of that nature, to put them in front of them in order to knock down doors, to cross milestones, or to make progress. And, we're always baited into things. And next thing you know, there's the betrayal, that comes right after that. And this time around, with the political climate that's going to certainly be coming behind this Supreme Court decision that could escalate to the Electoral College, possibly, or even the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment reviews, women's rights, any kind of communities of minorities. There can stand to be many changes, because we know that this is consistent with Project 2025. And Project 2025 is masterminded by a PhD holder of American Studies and a specialty in African American Studies. That is not without reason, okay? And with that being said, there's trust issues in the air, okay? And the trust issues in the air is that Black Americans are becoming hip to the patterns, okay? Where so many people wanted to use us for political reasons, political outcomes, political gain, political opportunities. Not only minorities by demographics, but also even the gay community, okay? Everybody wants to use Black Americans when it comes time to fight for something. But when it comes time for Black Americans to get support, help or defense alliances, people love to talk shit about us. People love to, put us down, and all these other things. So in the political arena, things can be very challenging to establish trust. It can be very challenging to establish trust in order to arrive at a sense of unity in approaching what's coming. Okay, it doesn't mean that it's impossible. It just means that we all are going to have to evolve to reflect a more genuine and sincere intention behind what we're doing and how we're doing it. And to learn to stand up and fight our own battles collectively, not just put somebody out front to take all the bullets, scabs, and bruises while we sit in our comfort and security that we enjoy from the status that we have within the society, and also buying into and believing, false narratives that continue on about different demographics, entertaining these different false narratives and keeping that going. That, all of these things contribute to division, animosity, distrust, regret. And with where we're going, we are going to need to utilize the power of unity. So I'm just putting that out there before we even get started.
When the US was first founded, you had what were called slave states and free states. Most of the free states were in the north, while most of the slave states were in the south. This was because of how different each state's economy was. Southern states' economies were largely based on plantations that relied heavily on slaves, while the north was heavily industrialized and didn't rely on slaves. When the US admitted new states to the Union, each new state could opt to be a free state or a slave state. As the US admitted more states to the Union, there was a balancing act to ensure that there were an equal amount of slave states and free states. After several events of abolitionists clashing with anti-abolitionists, tensions only continued to rise. Abraham Lincoln being elected into office in 1860 was the final straw for the South, so they seceded from the Union and they formed the Confederate States of America. This put America into a war that lasted just shy of 4 years. The Reconstruction Amendments were 3 amendments that were a result of the Civil War meant to end slavery, provide equal rights, and voting rights to African Americans. The 13th Amendment bans slavery with the exception if someone is convicted of a crime. It was proposed by Congress after fears that the Emancipation Proclamation would not be enough. The 13th Amendment was ratified on December 6, 1865. Though the 13th Amendment banned slavery, this didn't guarantee rights to former slaves. So that's where the 14th and 15th Amendment come in. The 14th Amendment forces all government officials to respect equal rights of African Americans and former slaves. The 14th Amendment also banned anyone who rebelled against the United States from being elected to political office or joining the military unless they were removed of such a disability by 2/3 vote of both houses of Congress. The 14th Amendment was ratified on July 9, 1868. The 15th Amendment granted voting rights to people regardless of skin color, thus allowing African Americans the right to vote. This amendment was put forth partly because of how the South was likely to have more seats in Congress thanks to the 3/5 compromise no longer in effect. The 15th Amendment was ratified on February 3, 1870. Although these amendments were ratified in the late 1800s, African Americans did not enjoy equal rights granted by these amendments. Poor interpretations by the Supreme Court, along with things such as Jim Crow laws, made it next to impossible for a lot of African Americans to vote, especially in the South. It would not be until another 100 years before the rights of the 14th and 15th Amendments would start to be enforced.
Because I'm inside of the truth, I'm a witness. And if you're inside of the truth, you're a witness too. And the witness gets hated. The witness gets feared. Because there are people who are on the wrong side of truth. There are people who are enemies, fugitives, when it comes to the truth. When you're a truth teller, a truth sayer, a truth speaker, people don't like you. And that's the reason why. It's because you're sitting on the stand. When you speak the truth, if they're guilty, they're going to feel it inside of themselves. But that's not your problem. They're going to look at you in resentment and hatred. They're going to want to silence you. They're going to want to stop you. Some of them might even want you to drop dead, praying on your downfall. But it's because God sent you to be his witness. God sent you to be his witness. And you know how it goes with the witness. If you touch the witness, you're in trouble. If you antagonize the witness, you're in trouble. If you threaten the witness, oh, you're in trouble. If you put any kind of pressure on the witness, you're in trouble. Remember that. And God works the same way. So you people out there who don't like the fact that you realize I'm a witness now, yeah, try it. That burden that's in your heart, keep trying to direct it at me and see what happened to you. See what happened to you. I'm a witness, and the witness is protected. God protects the witness. Understand that. That's what a lot of y'all need to understand. I'm a witness. And whose problem is it if I'm bearing witness against you? Is it my problem? Did I call you out? First name, last name, a picture up of you and everything else? No, I didn't. The truth accuses you. The truth holds you accountable. The truth convicts you. And you get angry. You get mad. You're standing in court, holding in your stomach a death wish against a witness. Truth witnesses against any falsehood in us, all of us, every one of us. Remember that. There's a lot that needs to be remembered that I've gone over that really would help to cast two eyes instead of one eye, or even three eyes, on the current crisis that we have in our nation. When we think about the Supreme Court decision with voting rights under the era of Lyndon B. Johnson, the background behind that also includes 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and 15th Amendment, which is it's essentially a package deal in status. Now, to note, the 15th Amendment is what set the precedence for motion or action to extend the same rights over to women. Okay, the 15th Amendment. Within the 15th Amendment were references for argument to reflect justice, fairness, and equality to women as well. And this is the reason why I mentioned the 15th Amendment being among those that sets the precedence for all minorities, including the minority female, okay? The female who is a minority in most cases. And so this is the reason for this mention. The motivating force behind this, other than the fact that it was witnessed that the so-called African American male was able to vote through this amendment, it only took that to really provide motivation to the other members of society who were also seen as property, less than human, or not honored or respected with equal rights when it comes to voting in government interest. It usually belonged to landlords and above, you understand, those who have a stake in the direction of society and civics, okay? And this was extended to the black male at that time that this started to become a movement through what was known as women's suffrage. Women's suffrage is basically about directing attention to women seeing equal rights, opportunities, or to be relieved of oppression, abuse, mistreatment, unfair dealings, and so on. And they came together in order to make culture of that idea and to organize that idea into efforts to find that expression in the systemic order of the nation. One of the most powerful organizations that came from women's suffrage was in fact American Equal Rights Association, if I'm quoting that right, American Equal Rights Association. And there were veterans actually included in that, including, I believe it was Lucy Stone, Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady, Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass also. This was, the late 1800s, of course. And there were several attempts, and several rejections at the same time in making this happen. And what I think is profound about this is that there was an African American black woman, Frances Harper, and during a debate about these issues, she emphasized that the white women were speaking more of rights, and she came there to speak more of the wrongs. And that right there is probably one of the best coined descriptions of what made the Black American woman different in her approach to this fight. Where she, from that point on, she's basically branding herself as the fighting spirit behind women's movement and rights. And that was accelerated during the modern feminist movements following 50s and 60s, where she would then champion feminism once Lyndon B. Johnson infiltrated the Black American family. Now, it was official nationwide when the 19th Amendment was codified for women. The 19th Amendment. That is when it became a nationwide status, which was 23 states at that time. Far before then, such as late 1700s, early 1800s, some of the northern states such as New Jersey, around the 15th Amendment timeline, 1869, in Western territories, women won the right to vote. But what I'm emphasizing is that the 15th Amendment was the basis of that, of the arguments that led up to suffrage gaining that women's suffrage gaining that victory. You understand? And so that's the reason why I'm mentioning those particular amendments. Within those three amendments, 13th, 14th, 15th, are the reasonings, the arguments, or the evidences and proofs, references, authorities, and everything else that sets the basis for rights to be extended, okay? Rights were given to the Black American male first, and then they were extended through the 19th Amendment, okay? So the 15th Amendment is the basis of the 19th Amendment, because the 19th Amendment is an extension of that, okay? And this is the point that I'm making. Now, to undo or to motion toward adjustments, modifications, or anything of that nature to the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, of course, that then changes the interpretation of the 19th Amendment or anything else that stood up on it, okay? It changes it. So this is the point that I'm making. If these get touched, then everything that rests upon it also changes in its context and interpretation and expression, and also how it is to be applied. Okay, so a lot of things could be subject to change. Now, with that being said, fast forward, 1964 Civil Rights Act, okay, 1964 Civil Rights Act, which essentially was what African Americans were fighting for, along with other minorities who were also supporting African Americans, including white people as well, okay, who were helping with this. In 1964, this set the basis for corporate and commerce opportunity, fairness, justice, interest under color of law. And that's very important because that is the basis for women's modern rights, fairness, and opportunities in commerce and corporate opportunities, including the 1974 Bank Act. In fact, let me verify, make sure that's Equal Credit Opportunity Act, okay? The 1974 Equal Credit Opportunity Act. That set the basis, Lyndon B. Johnson's set the basis for that to be a possibility later on. So, all of this, everything rests upon the next thing. So when you change one thing, or if something gets changed of that foundational level of 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, the interpretation of all things that preceded after gets changed as well, okay? Because one thing rests upon the other, okay? So this is a point that I'm making. Ladies, females, do not be delusional in thinking that the shit can't happen to you. This is not to fearmonger, but what this is let's get sober now about how we're looking at our future. Don't rely on the feminism spell, okay, of you could pick up your nifty cell phone and you could call for any service you want. You could buy any service you want. If something gets broke, you can hire somebody. You're walking down the street and you feel safe because you can call the cops. You rely on the resources that the land has provided. Phone call, okay? Were it not for you being able to call for a service, your life would be very different, okay? If you couldn't call for services or call the law or whatever else, your life would be very, very, very different. This is a good time right now to start planning and thinking and reflecting. What can I do to rely less on that false sense of security or that relationship with the state? What could I do to evolve myself to where I depend less on state resources for my security, for my safety, for my finances, or whichever else? And what are the appropriate relationships that helps me to reply positively and empowered to what may be inevitable or what may be possible, with changes to my rights, with changes to my power, my liberties, or in the justice system and how I relate to it or where I stand with it. Okay, things are going to change with Republicans in power, and the Christian doctrine takes precedence, okay? White Christian nationalism. And traditional ideology goes along with that. And everybody knows that when it comes to that conservative extreme ideals, okay, even with like Pete Hegseth and, these guys in the administration, they are associated with Christian extremists, okay, who promote ideas of oppression, control, and restrictions to females, okay? going back to the old days with females. I mean, I'm not kidding you on this. So anyway, I think you get the point. There's things to think about, and you don't want to wait to the last minute. Get prepared. Stop listening to the programming out there. It's a good thing to be in a relationship with someone that's good for you. And the programming may deprive you from that opportunity. The programming out here may discourage you from that. The programming may trick you out of that. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let's move on. But the Dred Scott case, in which Dred Scott consented to a particular classification and identity that was assumed of him, and his ignorance is what started the motion for subjugation through consent. And it's something very simple. What was simple about it is, but complex, is he answered to the assumption and the claim of Negro, black, and colored. There's no such thing, there's no such person, there's no such nationality, there's no such natural status, there's no such flag, there's no such blood, there's no such continent, there's no such country, there's no such state as Negro, black, or colored. From that time on, it started the precedence for so-called Black Americans, the fictitious character called Black Americans, to be subjugated to '13th, '14th, and '15th Amendment illusions of opportunity, which really is voluntary subjugation to color of law. Color of law. Where the missed opportunity was at is that Dred Scott could possibly not have been aware of what true status there is that goes with who he really is. The covered up lie that we all came from Africa, that we all arrived from Africa. But the truth is that we are indigenous. Copper tone, chestnut tone, Arawak, Choctaw of Mississippi, Taino, Cherokee, many other tribes. And there was the mixing and blending of African slaves or imports, and the deliberate attempt to disguise, or to properly describe as subject to status of non-descent, those indigenous, conflating them for the Siberian Native American Asians, which is not the same to say the indigenous Indians of America, along with Moors, Berbers, those who held the very first treaty of this nation. Consent is something serious, because you could find yourself subjected to an illusion, a matrix that you can't find your way out of. And your own ignorance cause you to walk right into it. With proper identity claim and status comes the estate and jurisdiction with that identity claim. America is a tricky place, and it's founded upon the tricks, the magic, the sorcery played on who we call today African Americans. And since the first handshake that was betrayed in treaties of America, we haven't had a proper title since, a proper name since. There's estate that comes with who we are. There's legacy that comes with who we are. The truth comes with who we are. And that eternally makes us witnesses of this nation. Witnesses. We are forever a witness of this nation. And the witness is a powerful role to play. They're going to try to get rid of the witness. America's a crime scene that started with so-called Black Americans. It is a crime scene. Negro, Black, colored, African American, none of these are nationalities. There's no flag for neither one of these. There's no region for any one of these. There's no continent or country for any one of these. There are no tribes for any one of these. There's no native language for any one of these, which proves it's lie. It's flat out lie. Dred Scott was a turning point where our own voice, our own tongue would hang us from our own consent. Now, the recent decision could open a Pandora's box to where obviously gerrymandering now takes advantage with the Republican side. We can anticipate that. But don't underestimate the possibility of the Electoral College also being dismantled. With these authorities in law and civics being out of the way, 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment stands vulnerable. But here's the illusion. Here's where the illusion is. It only applies to the illusion of consent. And the illusion of consent is not something easy to understand for people who have not braved aligning themselves with truth. Because change has to come with that awareness of consent. Change. Collective change. If we can't align according to what the illusion really is, as the fictitious person, the incorporated person, the straw man even, in color of law, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment is no longer an assumption. It's no longer an illusion, but it becomes a reality that you will not find your way out of otherwise. Thus, the manifestation of the context of Aries-Saturn transit for you who chose and selected not to be aware. And I've been talking about these things for at least 3 years now. But why is it that you people, you delay to take anything serious? You delay to respond. You delay. You always think you have time just because you don't see it directly in front of you. How many times do I have to show you this pattern? I introduce it to you because it gives you opportunity. It's a mercy for you to get ahead of the schedule, but then it happens. Then it comes to pass, and you got to play catch up. Oh, now you want to take it serious. I know what's coming down the pipeline. This is like, it's like UFC grappling. How do you get out of that chokehold? How do you get out of that? If somebody comes up behind you and grab you like this, how do you get out of it? If you haven't been training, you won't know how to get out of it. You're going to panic. You're going to try to use brute strength, which will not work. Wisdom, people. Wisdom. Illusions are at play. Your way out of that Saturn restriction, your way out of these assumptions and context of color of law is that you align with the truth, that you come out of that illusion of who you are as a colorable identity. You have to come out of it. You have to come out of all of the programming. These mind games that are running. Free your mind. Free your thoughts. You have to get to a place where your eye, your ears, your mind, it's yours again. It belongs to you. It's not something that somebody's running program on. You have to have the nervous system to hold that. Don't get me wrong, this is definitely a Jedi mind exercise. Yes, it is. It is definitely a Luke Skywalker Jedi mind exercise. It's no question. It's not going to happen overnight. But you got to start somewhere. And the best place to start is, what are you running from? What are you avoiding? What makes you angry when you hear the truth? What makes you uncomfortable? And why? Investigate it. Because that's where the chain and shackle is at. And you have to remove that chain and shackle. Everybody's not going to make it. Everybody's not going to get it. Everybody's not going to understand. It's not meant for everybody to. But I'm presenting you the opportunity to understand. These are illusions. The 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, these were not even ratified amendments. They were not properly ratified. These could be changed at any time. At any time, these can be changed. Now, what's important about this is all of you out there who are minorities, who thought that the things that I speak on doesn't pertain to you. It ain't got nothing to do with you. You're good. You're comfortable. You living your life. You doing your thing. You're unbothered. I keep warning y'all. It's going to come to your door because you're the one who's avoiding and you're choosing your comfort instead of change. It's going to come to your door. 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, this is where your minorities have illusion of rights and privileges within the society that gives fair access to interests in commerce, corporate outcomes, civics, security, the hope for legacy, and status that grants protection under the powers of the nation, resources under the powers of the nation. All of that is under there. And the 13th Amendment, that has a lot to do with the potential of you being converted to a slave or not. Understand that. Hello, people. When ICE came and picked up many illegal status immigrants, we all know a lot of them were not going back home. You know where they were going. They were going to work for massa all over the world. Human trafficking and slavery operations, allegedly. This, where we're at, it's like when you standing in front of somebody and you see they position, like the argument is starting to escalate, and you see they position a body a certain way, you already know that they're anticipating, to do you harm. You're watching a predator like a cat, when it puts his feet under his body, real stealth. It's anticipating to pounce on your ass. It's the way that some of you could be behaving is like a rabbit that keeps chewing the grass or chewing flowers while a cougar is positioning its body to pounce on that rabbit. And when that cougar pounces on that rabbit, it's so fast and so sudden and startling. It's like, damn, I did not know this was going to happen. This just came out of nowhere. Yeah, he was positioning while you was enjoying the flower and the grass in the field. You were just so content with chewing your grass, with chewing your flowers, with walking around this beautiful field. You were so content. But that mountain lion, that cougar, that sphinx positioned itself so stealthily while you were in such contentment, it had every opportunity to just pounce on you and eat your guts out. Now your lunch. So this is what I'm trying to tell you all out there. Everybody who's minorities, I'm warning y'all. And every last one of y'all is minorities on this channel, for the most part, unless you're a white male. If you're not a white male, you are a minority. Even white women, you too. Because some of y'all are delusional too. Some of you white women could be so delusional in thinking that these things do not apply to you. But it does. You are not exempt from these things. You're the most protected one in this nation, but don't think it can't flip on you too. Because after all, you're a female. You're a woman. Women's rights are included in this amendment package. Hello? Hello? The black woman has been checkmate in politics, in civics, in social strategies. She is now in position of a checkmate. She's not going to be in position to be your hero anymore. She can't protect you anymore. She can't fight for you anymore. She can't argue for you anymore. It's over for that way of fighting. The Democratic liberal left is at the end limitation of its powers. It is trine to Pluto in Aquarius, and it is now retrograde, which means it has to re-strategize to find its power again. And what do I mean by trine? Libra, okay? Everything that I'm mentioning, that goes to Libra. All of this goes to Libra. 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, that goes to Libra. That is a Libra domain. Libra liberalism. Come on, people, wake up. Get your coffee. Something. If y'all spent half the time being receptive than you do guarded and hating and scared or whatever else going on, we could have been got started. We could have been got started. Y'all bullshitting. Libra holding a trine to Pluto retrograde Aquarius. That means it's at the limitation of its powers. It has to transform to see power again. You see, it has to align with a more purposeful configuration in itself, not the disingenuousness that it has expressed in the past, because now nobody trusts it. There hasn't been fair representation. Everything has been about girl power, gays, illegal immigrants coming in and being mad, disrespectful to the Americans who are here. Once they get a foot in the door, once they get done using black Americans, shit on them and talk shit. When they get where they going. So a lot of changes are taking place. Men have been totally left out. Anytime the Democratic train comes around, it's doom for men. Ain't nothing in it for men. The hatred for men goes up. The fear mongering and propaganda for men goes up. Opportunities for men goes down. Men are about to get shitted on. The morals are about to decline. The family unit is about to break apart even more. The females are about to become more uncontrollable and degenerate, more wild, more STDs, more abortions, more nakedness. And then the after effects of that: depression, anxiety medications, drugs, alcohol, promiscuity, all of the coping that poisons society. America turns into a big party when it's the Democratic left. Party, 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 and pay attention to nothing that really matters. Take nothing serious. So there hasn't been fair representation in the Democratic left. Everybody's left out except females, gays, and immigrants. Everybody else is left out. And so women's rights can really stand to be suppressed right now. Okay? I'm telling you all. Things can change. Things can change very quickly concerning women's rights. All minorities, Black Americans, And some of you have this delusion of, that's black Americans. Yeah, I ain't got to worry about that. Oh, he talking about black Americans. He ain't talking about me. This is where wisdom is lacking. This is where you lack wisdom. This is where you lack the ability to connect the pieces, parts, and components. This is where you lack understanding to see how the whole picture comes together. What is the democratic left? What is access or opportunity through 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment without black Americans? You tell me, what is it without black Americans? It's nothing without black Americans. In fact, it's impossible without black Americans. It doesn't budge without black Americans. And who does that include? Women, and all the rights that you want to continue to enjoy, all the freedom and liberation that you want to continue to enjoy, the comfort you want to continue to enjoy, your career status you want to continue to enjoy, your college degrees you want to continue to enjoy, your abortions that you want to continue to have. Everything that you want to keep on doing, it is through that. So how does it not have anything to do with you just because it's about black people? Excuse me? Do you understand the metaphor of standing on the shoulders of your forefathers? Do you understand what that means? To stand on the shoulders of someone? Anyone who's gotten rights, opportunities, privileges, or access anything through 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. It's on the shoulders of black Americans. Through and through. That it's not even arguable. So how does it not have anything to do with you? Ask yourself, am I a minority in this nation? If so, you are standing on the shoulders of black Americans, whether you like it or not. You are. If you are a minority, are you a minority or not? All of the programs for minorities have already been removed from corporate America. Now it has to be removed from civics and law, which is concentrated to the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. It's protected through electoral college. That is an outcome. People, we have to learn. Oh my God, we have to learn how to start actively thinking. Not you just can't just walk around, just exist. You got to actually think. You got to think, people. Project 2025 included in Project 2025. His name is Kevin Roberts. Okay, Kevin Roberts, and he's president of the Heritage Foundation. Okay, and he's one of the main minds behind Project 25 compilation and strategy. And he does hold a PhD in American history with a specialty in African American history. Okay? What's unfolding right now is part of Project 2025. Project 2025, the essence of it is to disempower the left, liberal, democratic wing, to disempower them. That's the main objective of this. is to cut off their claws, their fangs, and their talons so they can no longer do any harm. And the Black American female is the head of that snake. This is what you people need to understand. She's the head of that snake. Right or wrong, good or bad, she's the head of that snake. Black America is not a patriarchal community. It is a matriarchal community, okay? You people need to understand this. The Black American community is not a patriarchal community. It is a matriarchal community. The Black woman rules, runs, and controls, calls the shots, and carves the destiny, shapes the destiny of the Black American community. And that's how Massa wanted it. That's exactly how Massa wanted it. So you can't look at, terminology this in mirror of yourself. Where in your community, it may be the reverse until you live in America long enough, and then you become the same way. Where women are dominating their husbands. Got their husbands walking on eggshells, happy wife, happy life. They're terrified to get divorced and lose everything, or lose their children, or whatever, or the court system be weaponized against them, the children be weaponized. So males in America, they can go to the docile side because America is set up to express a matriarchal disposition when it comes to social, civic, and domestic powers. In society, matriarchy is the essence of America in modern times. There's a lot threatening a male who does not comply, a male who tries to exercise his authority. There's a lot at stake because the courts are not in his favor. Family court and divorce court is not in a man's favor. And that is what backs the leverage that a woman has in America to express matriarchy, even though she cries and complains patriarchy. Everywhere in this society it has a matriarchal leverage. From the gym to the office spaces, everywhere you go, you're walking on eggshells, terrified of a Me Too or he's a creep or some essay accusation or the human resources department being called. Males are terrified to even look at a female in this society. The real point that I'm making here is the black woman is a matriarch. So when you get her, when you brainwash her, when you subject her to useful idiocy, when you subject her to programming that's self-destructive or whatever else, the whole black family goes down with it because she's the matriarch. It's not through the patriarch, it's through the matriarch because she's the one who holds the power in black communities. She has a 13-inch dick and high testosterone. That's who she is. She is very masculine. You cannot tell a black woman what to do. You cannot control a black woman. You cannot argue with a black woman. You're wasting your time. You will not be successful. Even to her own detriment, she will not listen. She cannot be corrected. She cannot be admonished. She cannot be approached. Good luck with that. The society is designed in such a way it's where a man cannot exert force anymore. Back in the day, a man could exert a little force and put her in a place. You can't do that anymore without implications. You can't do that. All you could do is walk away. That's all you could do. And with her, the Black American woman, all you could do is avoid her, walk away, just don't get any type of confrontation, argument, going back and forth or anything else, because you're not going to win, because you no longer have the option to exert any type of masculine force because it can be immediately turned on you. That's how America's designed. Docility out of males in comparison with the females. So I'm saying this to let you know that anything that happens with the Black American female, it also happens with the Black community overall. Now, the Black community is whose shoulders all minority communities stand upon. Results and outcomes through the Democratic left. This recent decision being masterminded by Kevin Roberts and other, masterminds behind that. This is someone who thoroughly studied African Americans, thoroughly. You think he don't know who the Black woman is? You think he don't know the patterns in history with, Lyndon B. Johnson and, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment? If you're studying Black American history, modern Black American history stands upon 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment and Lyndon B. Johnson. That is modern Black America. It stands upon Lyndon B. Johnson. And then it goes in waves of infiltration and destructive regimes, such as, crack epidemic, post-war, Black Americans coming home and there's no jobs for them, but there's, handouts, help, and jobs for the women, a humiliation ritual, disempowerment of the male in the community. Y'all know all this stuff. 800% increase in arrests. No, prosecutions. 800% increase in prosecutions during the Clinton era, which was the part of the war on drugs. Then following that, the stop and frisk, culture. Following that, 3 strikes law, Giuliani. Then after that, the effeminization of the Black male. Come on, man. There's never been a time in America in modern time that Black American community hasn't been under war. Strategic warfare that we didn't even know we was under. Then you put the music programming on top of that, poisoning our minds. Then on top of that, you look at what they did to the Black American woman, making a sex object of her. She still didn't wake up from that. She's still completely lost in that. Prostitution, escort, and hoe culture. Anyway, he studied African Americans. And anyone who studies African Americans or American history overall, you have the greatest advantage to know exactly how to disempower the Democratic left, to dismantle it, to cut the claws and fangs off of it. Because 99% of it is going to have to do with the Black community. You're going to find it difficult to get help and support behind you, ladies, behind you, immigrants, Behind everybody who's standing on my ancestors' shoulders, you're going to find a hard time gaining the support that you need to avoid this suppression or oppression, as long as you're participating in toxic cultures of feminism, the lust for white proximation, especially with Latinos. Want is so damn bad to be white. White proximity. And the corporate Machiavellian mind state that you have to put on, and the spirit of division that you have to put on, the ruthlessness that you have to put on, the desensitization of the self that you have to put on, the polarization of your community, putting one against the other that you have to enact behind that. And not only that, as you climb the corporate ladder, seeking white proximity, what always has to be the first step? To disconnect and disengage from the culture and connections from whence you came. To act like you don't know nobody no more. To start getting uppity with yourself. Then you start brainwashing your kids to detach and disengage from everything that made your culture rich. That's how you turn out with, Hispanics that don't even speak Spanish. Their kids don't even speak. That's how you turn out with a Hispanic whose kids don't even speak Spanish. Their kids' names are white names, white Christian names. Fuck is you doing? White Christian names, and your kids don't speak a lick of Spanish. Because you're seeking white proximity and acceptance. You want to be accepted by white people so fucking bad. Africans do it too. Or every nation, or every culture does that same shit. You come over here and you try to smash a hat down on your head to look. You start, trying to assimilate. And when you're trying to go through the corporate or commercial route, it's white proximity that you seek to obtain it. And it always ends up with you discarding and burning your culture, your roots, your heritage. You start becoming ashamed of your culture, roots, and heritage. You start hiding your culture, roots, and heritage. You start vilifying your culture, roots, and heritage. You would even go so far as to call your culture, roots, and heritage demonic because white proximity has you to think that you're supposed to be Christian. That's how brainwashed motherfuckers get when it come to white proximity. You was over in Africa practicing Ifa tradition, and when you get over here, you're gonna let the desire for white proximity tell you that you worshiping demons and devils, that you need to come to Jesus and be saved. You way down in South America in a fucking Amazon or some shit, and you have this rich, beautiful culture that that's since the first settlers ever came, since before the first settlers ever came here, and you betray all of that because you need to get saved and come to Jesus. That's one of the other things. When it comes to seeking white proximity, all you cultural motherfuckers always want to run for a damn cross to put around your neck. You want to run to Jesus. You want to claim to be Christian. You can't wait to get a white Jesus and put it up on your living room wall. All your kids lined up going to church and shit. You're fake. You're phony. You're fraud. And you hate yourself. You hate everything about you that makes you you. You hate your forefathers. You hate your ancestors. You hate your lineage. You people think I'm the bad guy for pointing this out to you? Come on, people. Am I picking sides? No. I'm standing like an attorney for you. I'm standing like a a lawyer and defending your case. What is you talking about? And I happen to take the same position with every person. My point is that you should accept who you are. You should be authentic. You should be your damn self. Let white people be white people. But why you gotta hate yourself because you're not white? Why you gotta pretend to be somebody that you're not? Why you gotta be ashamed of the roots and culture that you come from? For what? Why are you embarrassed and ashamed? Why are you ashamed to speak Spanish? Why are you ashamed of your children speaking Spanish? You ashamed of the type of food that your grandma used to make back in fucking Ghana or some shit. It's man. Anyway, nobody trusts you when you move like that. And that's what holds the division and distrust and animosity. That's what holds the fear mongering, is you're not showing up authentic. You're not being yourself. You're trying to be somebody you're not. You're trying to be something and somebody that you're not. You come from a Muslim country and you gotta hurry, and you're ashamed of the fact that you was Muslim over in that country. You're ashamed that you was Arab or something. You know what I mean? And you gotta find out how you can hurry up and fit in with the white people. You want white people to be grinning and smiling at you and accepting you. Fuck is wrong with you, nigga? Be yourself. Be yourself. Stop hating yourself. Some people even go as far as to get surgery to change their features, skin lightening cream and shit. You know what I mean? But anyway, enough marinating on that. But listen, Project 2025 is meant to go to defang the liberal powers. Now, I'm going to tell you that Pluto is in favor of Libra, okay? I'm telling you that right now. Pluto is in favor. All right? But it's a long marathon, is what we need to understand. It's a long marathon because it is a trine to Libra. That means if it's going to be, it's going to be painful. It's going to be a long, painful journey because truth is involved here. Disillusionment is involved here. Going without power for a very long time is involved here. Because to obtain power, to generate power, it first requires the loss of power. That's how Pluto works. Pluto gives you power by taking the only power that you have ever related to. Understand that. So when I tell you that females are about to go through a season of transformation, I wasn't kidding when I said that. All that turn up culture and hot girl summer and girl power stuff that y'all, you know what I mean, that's what was going on during the Obama era and the Biden era where it reached the zenith. I'm telling you now, you're gonna look back on that like a high school yearbook, like damn, those were the glory days. Because I swear to fucking God, y'all, you think that I'm preaching hatred or fear mongering when I say this, but females, y'all are about to have a season like never before. And what I mean by season like never before, that smile is about to be wiped off your fucking face. I'm telling you that right now. Shit about to get serious. It's about to hit the fan and shit about to get serious. Females are not going to have the luxury to misuse and abuse power, freedom, liberty. There is most certainly going to be a restriction to what you used to enjoy, limitations to what you used to enjoy, even if it is through a limitation in finances, access to corporate careers, high-powered and high-end corporate careers, and living in these liberal cities with your yoga pants, Starbucks cup, and your little ass dog, walking around with designer clothes, feeling good about your little apartment and all this other stuff, your new car with the glitter steering wheel. Okay, the things that you already experience are closed lessons. But now you have to get to true empowerment. To get to true empowerment, you have to lose connection to false connections with inappropriate powers. Understand that. You have to find your true authority that goes with the true identity of self as women. That means going seasons feeling like you have no authority, and there are only authorities over you. Because you have to find where your consent is at to redeem it. You have to find obedience with the self to reclaim it. It is true that the divine feminine is returning. It is true that women are about to be empowered. But it's not the way that you have been misled to think. Okay? That's like me telling you, as a personal trainer, yeah, you're gonna have a six-pack, you're gonna be looking great, you're gonna have 7% body fat, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we gonna be crushing it, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna be looking great, yeah, come on, let's go. But when you show up to my routines and it's time to put in that work, you sweating and crying and you ready, you know what I'm saying? You ready to leave the session. You ready to quit. The next day, you picking up the phone, tempted to say, hey, listen, you know what? I can't even make it. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to just work out on my own. I ain't going to, I'm good. You know what? I thought about it. I'm happy with the way I am right now. When you have to go through what it really takes to get there, to really become empowered as women, it's not for the weak. There has to be a reversal towards healing. And the reversal toward healing is you have to revisit where you abuse power, where you abuse freedom, where you abuse liberty. And even if you yourself were not part of that, you're still part of the collective body. You're still part of the astral body that you share. So it still applies. You could do yourself a favor by allowing yourself to become disillusioned with all of these feminist themes that have really misled you about yourselves. Do it. You better do it now. Don't wait, because the demolition crew is here for liberalism, for the democratic left. The demolition crew is here. They are tearing this shit down. Every way that you used to relate to feminine empowerment, female empowerment, it is going to come falling down. It doesn't mean that you're going to be powerless necessarily. It doesn't mean that you're going to be without freedom and authority and liberty and all these other things, but you will be subject to the illusion of that case. Yes, you will. Through color of law. You will. And you're not going to like it until you see through the illusion. But you can't see through the illusion until you align with truth. And your nervous system has to be able to handle that. It's like I'm talking to a brick fucking wall, you know what I mean? But I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Niggas is fuck, man. Let me show you an example of a mind that Let me show you an example of looking with one eye instead of looking with 2 or 3 eyes. All right? That is in the name of Uranus. Now, recently, there was this online wave in hysteria of quote unquote, it's not all men. Okay? And this is where, a lot of feminists were on there, screaming it is all men. Yes, it's all men. It's not some men, it's all men, with this whole 62 million conservative perverts, online, who are looking online to kill their wives and all these other things. And then came the wave of it's not all men with, the fear mongering propaganda hysteria of violence, the violence of men against women and all these other things, and they're just blowing it up, exploding it. You know what I'm saying? Even though, okay, in this current time, men are more sexless than ever. Men are more disinterested from the dating scene than ever. Men don't even go up to women anymore. Okay, men are conditioned and trained from the consequences and severity of feminism. So it doesn't even match the reality that we're in. Men are not proactive in seeking out, approaching, intermingling, or hosting females. Okay, it's not even real. That's the 1 to 10%. The average man doesn't even have access to females. He doesn't even have the chance if he wanted to, because of the inflation of the ridiculous standards that have been set, where all the females are standing in line, to share the same guy. Because the common man, they think that they're better than, the man who's in their tax bracket or who's in their community, who they walk past every day. So, there's this ridiculous standard that has them all stand in line for the same 1 to 10%. But anyways, through one eye, okay, there could be a lot of truth to, about the legacy of violence, concerning men and females. Okay, if you look with the second eye, all right, is it not, okay, murder? Just like they're raising hysteria about male murder against females, murdering females, all these other things. Is it not murder, okay, to go to an abortion clinic and kill a baby? Is it still not murder? Is it still not a life? And then you look at the percentages of that. So if we look with a second eye, the same claim can be made about females in murder. And whether or not we all need to raise awareness in their tendency to kill babies, to murder babies, to senselessly kill and murder babies. I'm saying this because I'm using the same language that they use, okay? To senselessly kill babies. And then if somebody comes along and says, well, if this is what took place in the event, and it resulted in a murder taking place, that night with such a, you're justifying and you're trying to justify. There's no reason, which I agree. There's no reason, okay, for that outcome. I agree. I'm in agreement. So can the same logic follow? There's no reason for you to kill a baby. Okay, unless there's a medical emergency. There's no reason. And and it's not a secret that these abortions boil down to, most of these abortions boil down to, I didn't use a condom. I changed my mind. He ain't acting right. I just got a new job. I got to get through school. What about my career? Not right now. I don't make enough money. But you made the decision to create the crisis of this hard choice. And the result is still murder. 2025 data, abortion rates in the U.S. show significant racial disparities, with black patients experiencing the highest rates, roughly 3 to 4 times higher than white patients. Recent statistics indicate roughly 38 to 40% of abortions are obtained by black patients, 30% by Latin patients, and 33% by white patients, reflecting systemic health access. See, they like to use the word health because they want to promote this. This is what they want. Again, if I look with a third eye, knowing that this is what they want, if I look with a third eye, is it any different than what's happening at Palestine? The genocide at Palestine? Is it any different? No, it's not. It's still murder. And it's murder in sweeping measures. Sweeping measures. So we're entertained. What I'm saying is there's illusions. When you have one eye, you don't have depth perception. It takes two eyes to have depth perception. The way that we're reasoning is to the benefit and objective of the programming, the triggering words, the triggering media, the triggering content, the triggering hysteria. But when you look with two eyes, it calms your nervous system because it has you to look at it from a perspective of justice rather than a perspective of assumption and fear mongering. And when you look at it from a perspective of justice, you have afforded compassion for yourself and why you killed 13 babies in your lifetime, or why you killed 5 babies, or why you killed 2 babies. Feeling comfort in the fact that society is willing to comfort you in that murder, to ease your conscience in that murder, and you go on about your business. You afforded yourself compassion to slow down and understand why these outcomes happen. But it's still murder. To really look at the truth of that, it will force you to slow down and realize the agenda behind the fear mongering. There's nothing good or nothing that we could agree to about murder, senseless murder. But murder is murder regardless of where murder takes place. How are we justifying it in this context, but not justifying it in that context, and so on and so forth? And we think that we're different than the one who we're accusing. So it takes two eyes to see that a witch hunt is held by the very ones who should also have a witch hunt held for them, is what I'm saying. Put your sticks down. Put your fiery torches down and your big crowd of witch hunting, and look at yourself. It's like when Jesus said about the prostitute. He said, "He who is without sin cast the first stone." Y'all know what that really meant, right? Whoever didn't hit that, whoever didn't pay for some pussy, throw the first stone. See what I'm saying? Y'all niggas talking shit about her. You want to stone her. But nigga, you paid $20 for last week. You was behind the dumpster getting some head from her just today. You was on her OnlyFans Tuesday. You was sliding out her apartments with a wet spot on your pants last weekend. So how are y'all niggas judging her, but y'all fucking on her though? You talking shit about her, but look what you doing. You the same person. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. Coming out of the loop of these spells, these triggers. When is the mind gonna get set free? When are we gonna set our minds free, man? Come on. I really felt moved in my spirit to say this. Feminism was upheld by very specific things. And among all those things, the college degree, the corporate career, and favor in the court system. These things. And to a lesser degree, pornography, prostitution, and escort culture and expression, the whole culture that goes along with it. And this is a turning point, people, where by design, females are meant to be disempowered collectively. All right? Don't kid yourself. The design that they want is for women to have to depend on the Christian nationalist model of the family unit. But the only take back in that is the toxic misogynistic views and cultural ideologies that surrounds that. Okay, it's not necessarily a healthy way of relating with women. I think some of you will find it ironic that I would make a statement like that, because some of you may be under the impression that I'm a misogynist, okay? But I think that people who know me personally or closely would say much different. And tomorrow, you're not going to have the same access to those careers, to those college degrees, nor are they going to be valuable anymore. AI is replacing all of that. Don't expect it to be there tomorrow. It's time to evolve and change. Pluto is retrograde in Aquarius, and that is a demand for personal evolution. And the personal evolution takes place as we confront and align with truth, where we allow ourselves to be disillusioned, where we allow our ego to die so that we can save the body. Okay? Where we disconnect from the limitations of our power. And we allow ourselves to transmute, transform, resurrect, to realize greater empowerment within a new timeline. Okay? So don't think that you're going to continue the same story. All right? Of the ultimate objective of, I live in a liberal city, where there's a sea of apartment buildings and condos, and I walk down the street with my yoga pants, my little dog, and my Starbucks cup. The single life. I go to the gym every day and I eat like a vegan and I'm really skinny and wake up, people. The corporate job, my degrees, and expressing my sexuality and femininity and all these other, it's time to get busy. All right? On empowering the woman, not the actor. The woman. Not the feminist, the woman. It's time to find out who we are in family and community, fourth house, Cancer, Jupiter expansion. Understand, because when Jupiter gets to Leo, it's time to express that. Right now, we're supposed to be nurturing that. We're supposed to be growing that. When Jupiter gets in Leo, we have to express it. To express it means you embody it and it becomes your lifestyle. Understand? But have you even started to contemplate that? Are you still programmed? These mantras that have lived on so long, these generational curses, which is consistent with, okay, Cancer Jupiter, especially with the background of Cancer Mars retrograde and the shadow work of Scorpio stellium, we are crushing and demolishing generational curses. This is all generational, okay? Strong black woman. I'm independent. I don't need no man. I don't need no man, and all this is time to throw that shit in the fucking garbage. I swear to God, you better wake the fuck up and stop that shit. All this man hating and destroying yourself. You know what I mean? You're a walking porno advertisement and how you dress and whole culture. Why would you want to be part of whole? Let me not preach. Leave the whole culture alone. Don't enable it. Don't promote it. Don't agree with it. And you females have to find a spine. Because I say that because as a collective, whoever shares the same image of you, you've got to correct them. You women have to get in the habit of opening your mouth and correcting, setting the record straight. Not saying what's right, saying what's wrong. Because you share the same image. To stop the cycle of condoning things that harms your image as women. The nakedness, the prostitution culture, the escort culture, the hoe culture, the delusion, the worship and the worship and glorification of the single life status, anti-family theologies, mantras, and ideologies. Recontextualizing and redefining murder and abortion. The inability to see that several fingers are pointing back at you as you point a hard, stern finger at males in society based on programming, not your own personal experiences, convictions, and sentiments, but because they're doing it. Recovering your own mind, taking it back from the sisterhood, no longer thinking on code, no longer making decisions on code, no longer replying to things or answering things or saying things on code, getting off the code because the code is toxic. It's self-destructive. My God. Hypersexuality, promiscuity, fornication. It's not normal and it's not okay that girls, women, our daughters, our sisters, our mothers, are out here doing so much fucking. It's not okay. That is not okay. You're not getting ready to justify that. You cannot justify that shit. For women to be so loose and constantly having so much sex with so many strangers, you cannot tell me that that is not harmful to females. You cannot tell me that. That is not traumatizing to a woman. That is not destructive to her psyche. You will never be able to convince me of that. But look how successful they are with convincing you as a sisterhood, as a collective, of these things being okay. They tell you right is wrong and wrong is right. And you believe it. You go for it. You don't even question it anymore. You defend it, in fact. And when somebody tries to recover you from these lies, you fight them. You see them as the enemy. You think they're out to get you and attack you. You act like they're trying to take something from you. Really, they're trying to give you something back: your dignity, your self-respect, reverence, mystery, pride, purity, chastity, modesty, honor, respect. We've gotten so good at raising daughters, to be corporate beasts, corporate monsters, and college this and college. Females have been worshiping the college campus. All right? Take what's good out of it. But it's enough of the worship of it. It's enough worship of that. Substance people. Legacy people. Family people. Love people. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if I were to make a call to action, my call to action for women is acknowledge that Libra, the home of how women relate to the public through civics, through law, through justice. Ma'at is your compass for the character that becomes destiny. I will say again, Ma'at is your compass for the character that becomes destiny. This is an ethical wisdom to embody. It's also a positive public relations to ascend to. With Libra being enshrined to Aquarius Pluto, the retrograde of Pluto, it's a 6 months opportunity for women to realize where they've been given power away, where they have become disempowered into illusions, whereby they assume power that really isn't there. Because the power that's assumed is directly tied into these systemic schisms, regimes, and engineered cultural sentiments and convictions. Engineered. It's not real. And once that system comes down, once Lyndon B. Johnson's package is picked apart, once the Electoral College is looked at with an eye of scrutiny, to be demolished as well. And then following that, women's rights could stand to be in a very vulnerable place, as well as all minorities. This is a time to contemplate what power really is in a woman. What empowerment really is in a woman. The new woman. This may mean to leave behind all of the South Node Libra toxicity and to be brave enough to insist that your sister represents you well, that your sister does not represent you as a prostitute, an escort, or a hoe, because nobody's wrong for calling her that if that's what she exemplifies. Like Tupac said, you wonder why we call you bitch. Look at that, a bird is singing behind me when I said that. You wonder why we call you bitch. It's time for women collectively to heal their image, to clean up their image, to restore it, to give it real power. We already have the instructions, and that is Cancer Jupiter expansion. Who can deny that this has a domestic disposition, that it has a home front disposition, that it is about being true to the self, authentic to the self, to the core? The inner child is there at Cancer. Who can deny that Jupiter does indeed represent the husband? That should be included in your aspirations. I'm not saying that you have to go to the state and do it the traditional way. I'm not saying that you have to be traditional about it at all. But the instructions are there of what our focus is supposed to be. Family, legacy, crushing and demolishing generational curses, healing the woman, restoring the image of the woman, the divine expression of the woman. Cancer, the matriarchal authority. And she expresses this through Libra, which is to convert that moral constitution into ethical wisdom and strength. Ma'at spreading her wings over the society. This is a position that you're supposed to be taking, but how can you do that when you're showing up as hoes, prostitutes, and escorts, and you're defending hoes, prostitutes, and escorts? And even if you're not doing the prostituting and the escorting, you defend the culture, you defend the sisterhood that does, so that dark light reflects, it reflects back on you. You can't escape it. Greed, materialism, competition, worship of careers, worship of jobs, worship of status. That's Capricorn. Power is no longer there. Pluto is not in Capricorn anymore. It's in Aquarius. You have to find your purpose. You have to find how you're supposed to serve this world, this life. And as a collective, as a sisterhood, Ma'at is how you serve. Ma'at is trying to Aquarius. That is clarification of how you're supposed to serve the society. Ma'at. Not weaponizing the system against males and boys and being selfish to consume what you can. Nobody trusts the Democratic left anymore because everybody has in their memory who took the morals away from America, who destroyed the families, who murdered babies to genocidal rate under justification of abortions, who went sex crazy with theirself and turned into a sex object. She objectifies herself now. Remove all of the shame from prostitution and escort culture. Like, this is serious. People remember who did that. People remember what happened during the Obama era and the Biden era, where women just turned into something unrecognizable, and it was not good. It was not good. And it still lasts till this day. We're in the aftermath of that. It is sad what happened to the woman. She is not respectable today. No, she's not. She has no clue of what woman is. She's clueless. There is work to do, people. And along with this, it's time to get together, visit your neighbor, have the conversation, have a group where you have a think tank, strategize or something. When this system falls, where does that put us? When that system collapses, where does that put us? What does that do to what we used to enjoy, to who we thought we were? How does it change things? Come together and think actively, strategize, plan, come up with something that benefits all of humanity, not just yourself. Don't be selfish this time. Don't listen to the devil this time. is what I'm saying. Come out of this repeating psychological conditioning of this single life culture that ultimately leads to nothing but promiscuity, vibrators, overconsumption, spending, and sticking your noses in places that don't belong. Because what ends up happening is the single life culture doesn't stop you from being the nurturer that you are, the mother that you are, the lover that you are, the wife that you are. It doesn't stop you from doing that. It just causes you to redirect that to inappropriate places, to places where it is harmful for you to express that. You end up on the 11th house on the internet standing in your damn drawers. You end up on the internet showing the whole public ass, titties, nipples, and everything else in your new lingerie set. You end up on OnlyFans jabbing a dildo for money. You end up being passed around the community, hopping from this one to that one to that one. You ran through. You buy into liberal communities where everybody has a dog because everybody's lonely, picking up shit. It just gets redirected. You end up in other people's business. You end up looking at celebrities and living vicariously through their relationships because you ain't got one. It's unhealthy, ladies. You do need a husband. You do need a husband. Jupiter is a husband in Cancer. Jupiter takes a domestic disposition in Cancer. It's a husband. You need husbands. And Aquarius is giving you permission to do so in ways that may not be traditional, that doesn't have to be as traditionally expressed, but you need one. You need family. You need the appropriate place to express these things that is natural and inevitable in your nature. Because that is how you serve humanity. That is how you contribute to humanity. That's how you heal humanity. Because the mother in the wife's office is something that's irreplaceable. We cannot go without that and still call ourselves civilized without mothers and wives. What are you talking about? That is how you help society. Somebody lied to you in feeding you these ideas that you need to take your high heels and go on the top of a skyscraper, and that's how you help us out? No, it's not how you help us out. It's a contribution, but it's not the essential contribution that you give to society as a woman. It is not. It can never compare to the depth and the weight, the breadth of women who are mothers and wives. It can never contribute to that. That is what a civilization cannot do without. I'll finally say, in closing, share a man if you need to. Share a man if you want to. Remove the shame from sharing a man, because you share a man anyway. You do it anyway. You're not fooling anybody. You share men. You don't want the common man who walks past you every day. You don't want the man who's on your level, your tax bracket, your community. You don't want nothing to do with him. You all stand in line for the same man anyway. You share the same man anyway, whether you know it or not. But it's time to add integrity to what we already do. If you need to share a man, share a man.